Hello there, I'm Fernanda, and in this video I'm going to share with you 5 tips to stay productive while working from home. I work freelance, and sometimes when I have a project, I actually have an office that I have to go to and report to every day. But a lot of the times I'm working from my house, especially when I'm prepping a big project or something of the sort that requires me to travel. I'm starting from home, I do all my work from home, and then I travel to location. While not having to go to an office can be great because it saves you the commute time, sometimes the distractions of our day-to-day life infiltrate our work when we're working from home, making it really difficult for us to stay focused. No matter the reason, whether you're taking care of a loved one or whether you have to study or you're working on a side hustle that you want to turn into a business, who's guilty of that? I want to show you how you can make the best out of your time at home with these 5 simple tips. My first tip for setting up your day right when you're working from home is to walk to work. What do I mean by this? I essentially get ready the way I normally would if I were going to an office, but then I grab my keys, put on my coat, and walk outside before I start actually working. This usually pairs up very nicely for me because it's the time that I take Buttercup out to pee. But it's also a great opportunity for me to get some physical activity in the morning, to see the sun, and to be outside and not feel like I've been inside all day. But second, it helps switch my mindset from my home space to my workspace. So the second I walk back into the door, I no longer do any housework that is left behind. I don't run the dishwasher, I don't do the dishes, nothing. I make sure that all of those things are done before I walk to work so that when I come back in, I am officially in work mode. My second tip for staying productive when working from home is to eliminate your biggest distraction. Chances are that there's a task in your home that every time you see it, it's nagging you and it breaks your focus. For me, something that happens is that when I haven't vacuumed in a long time, every time I walk around or like go into another room, I see dust everywhere and it just makes me think, God, I have to vacuum, God, I have to vacuum. Do yourself a favor and take care of this task. Give yourself 10 or 20 minutes at the most and do it first thing in the day. If that thing isn't pulling away from your focus, you're much more likely to get through your day without interruptions in your mind. Tip number 3 is to identify your biggest time derailer and get ahead of it. Chances are that at some point in your workday, your mind is going to start to wander, you're going to find a distraction, and you're going to start wasting a little bit of time. Since there's nobody around us to remind us of how time is passing, we have to identify the things that suck our time so that we can keep on track. One thing that derails me all the time, for example, is lunch. If I break for lunch and I don't know exactly what I'm having that day, I will spend 45 minutes snacking or putting together a fancy meal. And by the time I get back to work, I have completely lost my state of flow and I've wasted like an hour to an hour and a half of my day. And it drives me crazy every time. So what I do now is that if I'm going to be working from home, I just have to make sure that I know what I'm going to have for lunch that day. Usually it's a leftover from the night before or something that I can whip up super simply where it's like, okay, put this on toast and you're good. Because otherwise I will seriously lose myself in the kitchen being like, oh, and I want to add this and that's add some pepper. And like an hour and a half later, I've lost all the daylight and I have a ton of work to do. For you, maybe it's a phone call that distracts you or having to get up and make some coffee or having to, run outside to grab lunch. Whatever it is, whatever thing in your day happens that makes you lose track of time easily if you don't handle it, identify it, prepare against it, and then you can move on with your day smoothly. Tip number 4, use the Pomodoro Technique to stay focused and take frequent breaks. The Pomodoro Technique is a very popular time management tool in which you break your work down to 25-minute increments and then you work for 25 minutes straight without distractions. Then you take a 5-minute break. Then you work for another 25 minutes and take another 5-minute break. And you keep going so on until you feel like you need a little bit of a longer break, like say 15 minutes or half an hour. Then you can take it and come back and continue in 25-minute increments. The Pomodoro Technique works wonders if you're somebody who gets distracted easily. You set up your phone and your computer or whatever distractions you have on Do Not Disturb, and then you set a timer for 25 minutes. Chances are that you'll be able to keep your focus a lot longer if you know that at the end of 25 minutes, a bell is going to go off that is going to tell you, drop the work, take a break, you can scroll through Instagram, you can do whatever it is that you need to do to actually relax. I actually use it for the opposite effect. I'm the kind of person that once I get into the flow, I will work and keep churning until my jaw hurts and the next thing I know, 6 hours have gone by. So I use it so that when that bell goes off, I have to get up from my desk. I have to drop work or whatever it is that I'm doing at the moment, and I go get water and I go pee and I pet Buttercup and I just kind of clear my mind. And I've noticed that coming back to work is so much better and less stressful because I know that there's like even breaks in which I can be like, okay, breathe. I just need to make sure that once that bell goes off, I am actually taking the break. The rest is super important because that's what makes your focus last a lot longer. And lastly, tip number 5 is to set a clear limit for your end of your workday. This will work very well for you whether you're like me and you will keep going and going and going until all of a sudden you look at the clock and you realize that you should have been in bed 2 hours ago and your dog is starving and you need to take her out on a walk. But it will also work really well if you tend to procrastinate and lose track of your time a lot. If you have a clear reason why you need to stop working at a certain hour, that working against the clock makes it so that you have to focus in the amount of time that you have. There are a ton of things that you can do to determine a clear end of your workday. So it can be somebody in your family, a roommate, or a partner coming home and then you drop everything and you just spend time together. It can be having to pick up a child or a pet from daycare, a workout class, a happy hour with friends, or perhaps you go see a show or you have movie tickets, whatever it is, but try to have something that you have to do at a certain time so that it forces you to drop your work and the end of your work is done. That'll make it so much more so that when you're home, it doesn't feel like you're at work all the time and you delineate clearly between your home life and your work life. And that is going to be it for this video. I hope you liked it and don't forget to give it a big thumbs up if you did. And please let me know in the comments below if you have any other tips that I could use, because these days I am working from home a lot and I need them. I could use them all. There is a button over here that you can click to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to ring that bell if you want to be notified every time I post new videos. I'll see you next week. Bye. Ugh, do you see that fly swapping around? It just randomly came into our house the other day and like I can't get it to leave. I've been calling it the new roommate. Oh my god, the roommate! If I had actually caught that, how would I feel?